Hi everybody, Raven the Swift, and today we're doing another video review submission from my Discord server. Today we have Fezzik versus Stug. I've never met Stug. I fought with Fezzik quite a bit. Fezzik is a pretty good fighter out of the East Coast. I assume uh, Stug is also from the East Coast. It looks like they're from uh, Delaware, West Virginia. Anyway, so today we're gonna have a little lesson on some footwork stuff and kind of opponent control. There's a lesson here. It's not a very in-depth one, but it is a good one. So I'm mostly gonna be reviewing Stug since Fezzik gets quite a bit of the wins here. But anyway, let's go ahead and go for it. Anyway, let's get into it. Both these, Fezzik is very adept at using block strike and different types of counter drills and stuff like that, so he's a very disciplined style. Stug, I'm not quite sure what he has, but he's definitely adopted some of the style from that region. Stug looks pretty athletic here. He's using good shoes. That's one of the indicators you can know of someone's footwork, but also his footwork doesn't look too bad. So first exchange, Fezzik won. Looked like he kept a little bit better composure than Stug did. Samo across the arms. So this is the first exchange where I start noticing the pattern of behavior from Stug. We're going to go back real quick, and I'm going to see if you guys can tell what actually is the reason why I lost. Can you guess? 3, 2, 1. We're going to go back. The very first thing that happens, and the reason why Stug lost, is because he has this very deep lunge. Well, it's not very deep. It's a pretty deep lunge. It could be slightly deeper, but he has this super long attack coming into an opponent who is pretty adept at using their offhand to block. And you can notice here that Fezzik is ready to just hit him in the arm while hand blocking this guy's blocking Stug's stab. This wouldn't have been that bad, but Stug is taking such a long step forward that it has a very telegraphed attack onto it, and you can block it pretty easily. So we're gonna go back to it. Yeah, so he ends up getting the hand block and ends up losing the attack. When you have an opponent who's pretty good at using their offhand, you need to make your attacks either have more deception in them, you need to be able to reduce the tell and have a better setup for them, or you need to take shorter steps so that you can mitigate the risk of them just hand blocking your all-in attack. So you kind of want to break up the commitment or break up the resources for the attack. Exact same thing happened here. Starting from out of range, Fezzik's guard is down. Stugs is up. Fezzik is kind of baiting him to throw an attack here. He just dedicates all to the attack, gets blocked by the hand again, and gets hit in the arm. Fezzik's really showing his experience here with taking these hand blocks. And this is just a case of Stug overextending. And again, with the next stab, it's not always bad to do an all-in attack when you're both armed here, but and if you're trying to win the exchange and practice these things, you don't always need to. You probably shouldn't always do that. But it's a first to 10, so they're probably just kind of mitigating the point. Again, the same issue here. Stug's gonna dig for this big attack, and then Fezzik's just gonna block it and hit it, or well, get there first. I guess one issue here with throwing a giant attack is, I've said in other videos, you leave yourself open to attack, right? When you decide to commit a bunch of resources to something, you expose yourself to risk. And if you don't control your opponent enough when you attack somebody, that risk is more likely to affect you. So Stugs is going to go in for this big attack and leaves himself with an equally large opening, and Fezzik's going to take advantage of it and throw a counter. See? Stug here should be taking more time with his exchange with Fezzik and just being a little bit more patient. Oh, he almost got that. That wasn't too bad. That was a good example of baiting somebody in. Stugs did a stutter and baited Fezzik into attack. He just happened to miss his block, which is okay. Okay, they're slowing down a little bit. Good block there. I'm gonna go back and look at that again. And that's a good example of like if you're that's I don't know if he intentionally did this adaptation. I'm gonna assume that he did. Is that he stopped attacking Fezzik straight on because he was losing those exchanges. This is good adaptation in the series of him switching gears and going to being more defensive and drawing out his opponent. These are the type of adaptations you want to look at when you're examining how to beat somebody in a long series or in a tournament or competitive fashion. Fezzik with the stoic guard. Knows he's out of range. He's kind of baiting Stugs and attacking. Nice. Good discipline there by Stugs. Got a little gun happy on the last one, unfortunately. He almost won that exchange. That's an interesting counter by Stugs. Uh, Let me go back to something real quick. Ah, see, he could have made this riposte against Fezzik, but he looked like he was worried about getting hit in the leg, so he did a hop instead of a step. But his guard was in a good position. I'm going to go back again because that's a good lesson. One more. So he gets this block, and he's worried about getting in the leg, so he didn't actually step. I feel like he could have actually stepped here, and if he was worried about getting hit in the leg, his hand was already in a good position to potentially block any leg shot. He could have just stepped and then covered the leg shot with his guard and then swung at Fezzik. So there's an opportunity there to actually get the kill on him while covering your bases. Arm, arm. 6-2. It's pretty steep. Gotta bring it back. Like seeing Stugs be more patient here. They're getting to longer form exchanges where they're trying to beat each other out. Nice inside money shot. And another thing too here, he's having a huge tail when he decides to come in, and Fezzik is just taking the opportunity to do a counter. Watch from where his sword position is right now, Stugs. It's low and in the inside. And when he decides to swing, he just raises his hand up. Like, he also stepped forward with his body in front of his sword a little bit, which exposed his body. Generally, when you're making an advance like this, you want your sword to move before your body does. In that, like, I want to keep my sword always extended in front of my body so that it is always able to be able to block something. If I'm gonna get countered, I need to have it in front of me. If I have my sword in place and I move forward, I reduce my possible chances of actually being able to be hit by something, and I expose the rest of my body. So when you're advancing on somebody, you need to be aware of that. That way you don't get hit by stuff like that. Nice. Go back to this real quick. I think Stugs is doing something here with his feet. Yeah, he's just kind of throwing too many times to the cross side. Cross side being uh, uh, Fezzik's right side. He needed to probably diversify some of his shots and throw inside, or throw at Fezzik's body instead of try to fight across cross battle. Simo. Good composure there. He almost over Stugs almost overextended there, but he didn't. 9-1. Oh, 9-4. Okay. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, I thought they side-mode, but good thing they didn't. Gonna go back to this real quick. I feel like if Stugs would have committed to this first attack and thrown like a stop hit or a backhand or something and he covered his inside, he possibly could have won, but it's neither here nor there. Oh, I don't know why it's showing me that. Anyway, so that's Stugs versus Fezzik. For Fezzik, he looks like he's doing pretty well in most of these videos where there's kind of a high-ish skill disparity between the two guys. It's a little bit harder for me to give advice adequately to both of them. But Stugs needs to work on a little bit on reducing his tells when he's coming into range, and then try to take multiple steps instead of one giant big step. I know that it's kind of hard when your opponent also backs up. One thing that's going to help is with your tells is that if you reduce your tells, then you kind of can create a shorter set point from when your opponent thinks you're going to attack them, right? Like you don't want to like show your opponent intention when you're really far away. You want to kind of relax and get into range before you start showing any intention, because if you do, they're going to get scared and they'll start moving away. So you kind of have to like lure them into range and be more patient with your intentions that you're showing them. Anyway, guys, I'm Raven the Swift. My channel is now sponsored by Optimum Arms, and yeah. So anyway, if you guys need a video review, you can throw it in my Discord channel, or if you really, really, really want it reviewed, because I'll eventually get to those. Eventually, if you really want it reviewed, I do coaching, and yeah. So anyway, so check you later, guys. Bye.